Chapter 13. Where do you go to? It took me a while to fall asleep that night. I could still feel her lips on my cheek. I could hardly wait till she came back the next day. I must have slept eventually, though, because I awoke to find her sitting beside me on the treehouse bed. "Good morning, Kentaro," she softly whispered. "Did you sleep okay?" "Yes, but I don't remember when, or even getting into bed," I said. "How was your evening?" "It was busy," she replied. "I had lots to do." "Where do you go to in the evenings?" I asked. "I mean, where is your house? Can I see where you live?" She looked away, and when she looked back she tried to smile, but I could see she was fighting something. "Let's have a lovely day together first," she said. "I promise I will tell you more later, and if you really want to see where I live, I'll show you." Her eyes glazed over slightly at the last few words. I wanted to ask more and to find out what was bothering her. It saddened me to think that something was on her mind. I tried to formulate a sentence that would be loving and supportive, but that would allow her to feel safe to share her troubles. But my emotions kept getting in the way. "Hey," she said, looking deep into my eyes. "I promise we'll talk about it later. But please, let's just have a nice day first. I want it to be perfect." I gently nodded, submitting. How could I ever disagree with dear Felicia? She was my everything. I would go to the ends of the world and back for her if she asked. I would slay a monster or even wait a lifetime if she would but give me a smile. She stood up and took my hand, and together we climbed down from the treehouse. The early morning sun had painted the park in golden hues, and the first of the butterflies were flitting from flower to flower. "It's a beautiful morning," she said, holding my hand, and we stood for a moment, hand in hand, close to one another, wrapped in silence, just listening to the trees and the park around us. "So, Kentaro," Felicia finally said, breaking the silence, "are you in a mood for an adventure and some action?" "Always," I said. "So what's on the menu?" "Well, in this amazing world, we can do literally anything. How about kicking off with some games?" "What kind of games?" I asked, but she was already pulling me towards the park exit. "You'll see," she chanted, and we were off. We caught a train, which gently pulled up to a platform next to a gigantic dome. The dome was covered in bright lights and images. We dashed down towards the entrance and through some double doors. Inside, it was a lot darker, with neon acrid lights glowing along the floor and thousands of rows of machines flashing. She dashed down an aisle to a rather retro-looking one with 2 round joypads and a flickering screen. "Oh yeah," Felicia announced. "This is one of my favorites." I looked at the grainy, flickering screen and could make out dune buggies darting over sand. I grabbed the joypad and wiggled it, but nothing happened. "Got to push start, Kentaro," she said with a wink. I hit start. The room went black, and for a moment I felt a little nausea. Moments later, I was standing in the roasting sun next to a dune buggy. "What are you waiting for?" Felicia called from inside another buggy, while she aggressively revved the engine and edged it forward. I jumped into the buggy and soon familiarized myself with the controls. The accelerator was lively though, and it flung me backwards in my seat. "See ya!" Felicia chided, leaving me a cloud of dust, but I wasn't going to let her get away, so I kicked the accelerator down hard and tried to keep the machine in a straight line. I got the hang of it quickly and seemed to be catching her up. Just as she slid around a corner, I took the inside line, almost rolling it, but managed to slip past her on 2 wheels. "See ya!" I shouted, quite pleased with myself. But it seemed I had underestimated her, because moments later she had sped past me, giggling to herself. I drove hard, but she was not going to let me overtake her again. Every time I got close, she blocked my way and then hit the boost, leaving me in the dust. When we finished several laps, I came to a stop at the finish line to find her already out of her buggy. "Did you stop for a picnic?" she asked. "No, but I gave up. She had me, and she knew it." "All right, you beat me, but I will win the next game." "Oh, really?" she questioned. "Well, as the loser, you can name the game." Suddenly we were back in the games room, in front of the console. I strode down the banks of consoles till a cool street racer caught my eye. "This one," I said, and not even waiting for her to arrive, I hit the start. I found myself standing next to a large selection of cars in a garage. There were classic muscle cars, Japanese drifters, and even supercars. "Nice collection," Felicia said from behind me. "You choose first, dear Kentaro," she said softly. "I'll take the metallic green Japanese drifter. How about you?" "I'll take the same, but in black," she said. "Matte black." We got in the cars and sped out of the garage, leaving skid marks and a thick cloud of smoke hanging in the air. At the lights, we revved our engines playfully at each other. The lights flashed green, and Felicia blew me a kiss. "See you at the finish line, in second place," she teased, and then she roared up the track. "Not if I can help it," I muttered. I dropped the hammer and sped down the track after her. As the scenery whizzed by, I realized that the track was actually set out on streets running across a town. I hustled hard to try to catch her up. She was really good, but I felt determined to not lose this time. She might be my dear Felicia, the one person in the whole world that I loved, but this was a serious game, and I was going to win. I pushed harder and harder, taking chances, finding the very edge of the car's limits, and soon I was on her back bumper, constantly fighting to get past. Then, just as we were approaching the sharpest corner, I decided to not brake early and try to slip by her. She slowed down, sliding into a drift, but I held the speed just that little bit longer. I had to get past her at any cost. Suddenly, the corner was upon me, though, and I couldn't get round it. A massive concrete side block was approaching me. I was going to hit it, and hit it hard. "I love you, Felicia," I uttered, knowing I was probably not going to walk away from an impact that bad. I closed my eyes, tensed, the concrete image refusing to leave my mind. I screwed up my face, my body taut, but nothing came. When I opened my eyes, I was another part of the track, regaining control. I yanked the wheel to get back in a straight line and continued driving. I saw no sign of Felicia, though, not until I looked in my rear-view mirror. She was a tiny dot. I hit the finish line, a little confused but feeling rather smug to be first. I got out of the car and sat on the bonnet for her to catch up and finish the race. "What took you so long? Did you stop for a 4-course meal?" I said, giggling from my comfy position on the car. She gave me a playful scowl and we dropped out of the game. Back in the games arena, Felicia put her arm around me and we walked silently for a moment looking for the next game. "Nice driving, Kentaro," Felicia agreed, "though I can't work out how you managed to get past me." I pondered what to say and decided to simply go for "skills, my love, skills," in jest. "Oh, wow, they've got this game now," Felicia declared, pointing to a flame-red console. "Oh, Kentaro, you are gonna love this game." I should have looked at the console, but I just hit start, getting swept up in Felicia's excitement. I was suddenly standing on the top of a mountain, but something was wrong. The floor looked a long way away. I moved my arm, but instead of my arm, a clumsy, large red wing came into view. Inspecting my body, I realized I was no longer Kentaro, but a scaly dragon. "What's happened?" I shouted. "It's okay, my dear. I'm a dragon too, and remember, it is just a game," Felicia growled from an equally fierce-looking dragon standing in front of me. "Oh, right, of course," I said, feeling a little silly. "Follow me," she said, and she dove off the mountainside, her wings majestically allowing her to sail on the wind. I did the same, which was a massive adrenaline rush, because I failed to open my wings, so I found myself twisting and plummeting towards the valley below. Fearful of the ground getting rapidly closer, I opened my wings and with a sudden jolt, I jerked back and was left gliding on the wind. A rush of excitement and elation filled my body as I soared gracefully above towns, forests, and rivers. Felicia had circled around and was now flying with me. Together we sped through the air, our hearts pumping. We dropped down just above the treetops of a verdant forest. I could feel the soft new leaves brushing against me. I could smell the pine scent from below, mixed with a moist mulch. We pulled up and then instantly were meandering between the clouds. Pulling up again, we found ourselves in a wondrous landscape, with the cloud below us now, a fluffy carpet and the vivid blue sky arcing on either side. "Bet you can't catch me," I suddenly declared, getting carried away by the playful nature of being a dragon. I dropped out of the clouds, flapping my wings hard, followed by Felicia. She heaved to try to keep up, but I was so full of adrenaline, I was flying to the full, darting around trees and then up to the rocky cliffs. Spotting a gap between two massive boulders, I decided to dare fly between them. I knew it would impress Felicia, so I took aim and brought my wings in like an arrow. I flew straight and true, but my pride had gotten the better of me, and I had misjudged the gap. It was too narrow. I pulled up, trying to evade it, narrowly missing the rocks. I caught a tree branch which put me in a spin, crashing down on a woodland. I managed to scramble to my feet, the tall trees looming above me. My wings and body stung a bit, but I was okay. Just then, behind me I heard a branch snap. Spinning around, I saw several large wolves. Turning back to my dismay, I realized more wolves had now cornered me. Scanning around for a way out, I saw they had me hemmed in. Their snarling got louder, and they readied to pounce. Fear racked my body as I imagined them ripping me to pieces. I closed my eyes, but they were still there in my mind. But they looked different somehow. I heard their snarling get louder, and Felicia cry as they pounced. I tensed, awaiting their sharp teeth piercing my body all over. Then the snarling turned to a strange, soft whimpering. I opened my eyes, and before me were baby wolf pups, rolling around in the undergrowth playfully. Felicia was standing a little way off with a look of confusion on her face. She gestured for us to leave, and we exited the game. Back in the games arena, Felicia gasped in shock, looking at me with a strange and suspicious look. "Hey, what did you do in that game? You changed the game," she uttered. I had no idea what she was talking about. I just felt a little sick with all the jumping from game to game, that and the whole wolves encounter. "Do it again, Kentaro. Change me into a wolf cub," Felicia said, her face not betraying her surprise. "That's impossible. I don't know what I did, and besides, it was only a game." "But you changed those wolves," she said. "I saw you do it. Change me. Go on." "Don't be silly, Felicia. It was just a game. This is the real world. I can't change you into a wolf any more than I can turn into a dragon and fly off into the sunset." "I suppose you're right, Kentaro. It must have been a glitch," she said. "What's next?" We whirled away many more hours that day, playing so many different games, including battle games, sim games, and even a great first-person fantasy, where she played an elf and I played a wizard. We got completely lost in that land. It was so vast that we eventually gave up and said we'd come back another day, just to play it. Next, we had a coffee in a quaint little cafe in the back streets of an idyllic town. We wandered around the cobbled streets, window shopping, completely lost in our own world, giggling at everything like children. It was mid-afternoon by the time we left the town, and I thought we might be heading home, back to the treehouse. But then we took another train in a different direction. "Where are we going?" I asked. "There's one more place I'd like to show you today," Felicia declared. "Wow, there's so much to do here. Where are we headed?" "You'll have to wait and see," she said playfully, so I just went with it. I felt her hand slip into mine as the train pulled up, and we picked our way through crowds of others. We dashed off the platform and towards a modern-looking glass building. It was clean-lined and fairly bland, other than a larger-than-life sign that read, "Travelverse, an Infocorp company." The word Infocorp seemed to feel familiar to me, but no matter how hard I tried to rack my brain, I could not work out why. I paused, looking at the words, caught in a flurry of thought. "Hey, the fun's inside, my love, not here. Come on," Felicia said, eagerly pulling at my hand. "Yes, of course," I muttered. "Sorry," I said, pulling myself away from the annoying mystery. As we walked through the sliding doors, we were greeted by a smartly dressed lady. "Welcome to Travelverse," she said with just a little too much excitement. "Is it your first time travelling with us?" "No, I've been lots of times before," Felicia said, "though it is his first time." "Welcome back, miss," she said, bowing, and then looked at me. Enjoy your first time, she said cheerfully, holding my gaze for just a little too long for it to be comfortable. I nodded politely and walked away arm in arm with Felicia. Wait here. I'll be back in a moment, she said, and dashed off towards a service counter, where she became quickly engrossed in an animated conversation with a staff member. Excuse me, sir, a soft voice said from behind me. I spun round to see the lady from the front door smiling at me. Hi again, I said. As it's your first time here, I wondered if you would accept these cookies, she said, handing me a small pack of a few very nicely decorated cookies. Each one had the name Travelverse printed on it. Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you, I said, returning the smile. I slipped the small packet into my pocket. Enjoy your travels with us, the lady said, and moved off to tend to some other people who were arriving. Several moments later, Felicia was back with a very large grin. Kentaro, dear, you're going to love this, she said. Follow me. She led me to a wall completely lined with doors. The wall stretched on as far as the eye could see in both directions. Every door was identical, simple, white and sturdy, but bland. The only discerning characteristic was the number above each one. Felicia looked at a strip of paper in her hand, comparing it to the numbers, and after wandering up and down the wall several times, we found the corresponding door. Go ahead, Kentaro, she said. You go first. I opened the door and was instantly hit by a strange, salty smell. I peered inside, but it was dark, so I tentatively stepped through the doorway. Suddenly, I found myself on a golden, sandy beach. It was beautiful, but taking another step, the sand felt a little frightening. I could feel it dragging me down, pulling at my feet. Darkness and screams started flashing in my mind. Hey, Felicia said, catching my worried gaze. Her gentle smile and loving eyes calmed me. The sunshine returned, and I saw the turquoise sea lapping gently at the shore. Isn't it wonderful, Kentaro? Felicia said. She was wearing shorts, sandals, and a t-shirt. I checked in with my own clothing, sure that we had not left the treehouse with extra clothes, and was amazed to see I, too, was wearing matching attire. Felicia kicked off her sandals and dashed to the shoreline. I followed her, abruptly stopping short of the waves. I felt a little apprehensive. I had read about the sea, but it seemed, well, wetter than it had done in the books. But Felicia didn't have the same reticence. She dashed straight in, the waves splashing on her legs. She let out a contented sigh and stood there with the water around her knees. I kicked off my shoes, too, and stepped forward. I stepped right up to the wet line on the sand. Then I put a foot ever so slightly into the water. It felt cool and calming, soothing even, the sand swirling around my toes. I took another step, and the other foot felt the same all over again. I ventured further, to my ankles, then to my knees, the soft water swirling around my legs, the sand shifting below my feet. I looked out, the sunlight bouncing off the jewel-like ocean. A few fluffy clouds drifted in the sky, and then my gaze fell on Felicia, who was watching me contentedly. A few tears fell from my eyes at the awe and perfection of the moment. I gazed at her, and she smiled. That gentle smile that pulled me from my horrid, dull life in the workhouse, that smile that never ceased to lighten my heart. I waded closer and took her hands. Felicia, I said, I love you so much. I love you too, so very much, Kentaro, she replied, her eyes filling with tears. This is truly the perfect end to the most perfect day spent together, I said, my eyes also filling with tears. I wish this moment would never end. Me too, Kentaro, she said, stepping a little closer. Then she did something I wasn't expecting. She leant in and kissed me on the lips. It was like the first time she had kissed me on the cheek all over again. A wave of emotion rushed through me. When she withdrew, I could still feel her soft lips on mine. She giggled and turned away. Come on, she said, splashing through the water and away towards the wet sand. We ran down the beach, the soft sand crunching beneath our toes, and the sea washing over the tops of our feet. She slowed down and then stopped at part of the beach that had lots of stones. I reached down and picked up one, inspecting it. I noticed how smooth it was, how round, but slightly elongated. I picked up another one, and it was identical. Felicia picked up one too, and then she did something that caught me off guard. She squatted down and then threw it towards the sea. Upon hitting the calm water, it bounced, skipping over the surface, far, far out, almost to the horizon. "Wow!" I exclaimed in excitement. "How did you do that?" "Skills, my dear love, skills." "Let me have a go," I declared, trying to mimic the action, but just sending it plopping into the water. "Look, hold it like this," she said, placing the stone in my hand and moving my arm to gesture the technique. I threw it, and it bounced once before splashing down. I practiced, and with her advice, eventually, I managed to get the stone to spin and skip across the sea. But not quite so far and elegantly as Felicia could. When we had run out of enthusiasm for it, we wandered back arm in arm, the low sunset glow dancing across the water. When we got back to the door, Felicia turned to me and brushed her hand against my cheek. "Thank you for trusting me, Kentaro. Thank you for being in my life. Today was truly perfect," she said, and then she turned toward the door and stepped through. On the other side of the door, I found myself dressed in my own clothing, dry and clean. As we were leaving the Travelverse, heading towards the train station, hand in hand, I felt that cruel buzz from her wrist cut through our moment. I looked down, momentarily in sadness and annoyance. Why did she have to go? Our time together made me feel so very alive and invigorated, yet every day she left me. Every time it felt like a bitter finish to an otherwise wonderful day. Maybe we could stay together. I could help her do her jobs, or she could maybe work from the park, surely. "Kentaro, I have to go," she said forlornly. "But where? Where do you go every day? Why don't you stay? Or why don't I come with you?" "You can't," she said, slightly raising her voice. "I'm sorry. I mean, it's difficult." "You said you'd tell me where you go, or even show me where you live," I said, remembering her promise that morning. "Are you ashamed of me? A man that came from a workhouse? A drab world? Is that it?" "No," she shouted. "How dare you even think that I would be ashamed of you?" She looked away in pain. "I'm sorry," I said, putting my hand tenderly on her shoulder. "I just don't understand why you leave me every day, and when I ask about where you go, you avoid the subject." She turned back, her eyes streaming with tears. "It isn't your fault, dear, gentle Kentaro. It's my fault. I knew this day would come, but I hoped that it wouldn't." "What do you mean? Are you breaking up with me?" "No, not at all, never. But there are things about where I go, my world, that is, that would tear us apart. Shock and horror befell me." "Your world? What do you mean?" I asked, aghast. I thought this was your world," I said, now racked with confusion, my mind a flurry of thoughts. Her head dropped in shame, and then she looked back at me. "Kentaro, this isn't my world, it's—" She let the sentence trail off and look away, unable to finish. "I don't care how different your world is. I don't care how difficult it will be. Nothing at all would or could stop me from loving you, dear Felicia. Show me, trust me, and trust us." "It isn't that simple, my love. You say you would not stop loving me now, but when you get there, it would tear us apart," she sighed. "Look at what we've been through together. Our love began in the darkness of looking through a dusty workhouse window. I trudged through pain and despair to be with you, and you held on, guiding me, fighting for me to escape. We're strong, and our love is real. Show me your world, and we will stand side by side together and overcome the differences." "Kentaro, you just don't understand the differences of my world. But at the same time, you are right. I cannot keep avoiding this truth. It breaks my heart to leave you every day, to lie to you, and to avoid the truth. I knew this day would come. I had hoped that we might get lost and distracted by being here. But alas, if you must see my world, then so be it," she said. I took her hand and pulled it close to my heart. My dear Felicia, our love is strong enough to endure. We will stand together and face this. No matter how different your world is, I will never, never stop loving you. Show me your world. She looked distraught, but nodded and mustered a smile. She took my hand and we walked silently the rest of the way to the station.